Right, so we are going to Greensley Hall. Last time, Gortwog of Orsinium did tell us that the Dust of Restful Death was in Greensley Hall, which is on her own island. There are probably a few random dungeons where it can be. They're all going to be on the Isle of Balfaria, and he tells you exactly where you need to go. But these are all random dungeons, so they're not quest dungeons, so there's no walkthrough, so you can't really just follow up where to go through a guide or anything like that, and this leads to a lot of frustration and a lot of wandering around that I don't particularly like going through. So we need to go and find ourselves some Dust of Restful Death, and that dust looks like, basically it just looks like lich dust, which is an ingredient, and that is going to be tremendously hard to find in a place like this. And so I'm kind of expecting to have to take a long time to wander around. In fact, I'm doing this recording retrospectively, so I can tell you that it took me hours to actually go around and find this place. And what I will do, I'll spare people the pain of having to watch most of it. It's just we'll just go past some of the interesting parts. Not too much interesting, but we, you know, in this one we go through and we find some interesting treasure anyway. Which once we've gone through that, then I think we'll skip to the end where we finally find the stuff. But in the meantime, what I'll talk about anyway is about what's happened in the quest so far. It's a werewolf. Yeah, the quest so far then. So we're told initially in the introductory scene, oh, there's a pull lever. Now you kind of wonder where this pull lever takes you. Yeah, the introductory scene of the Emperor did tell you two things. Deal with the ghost of Lysandus, or kind of make him rest for some reason. Which we're doing now. We found out a bit about that and collect the Emperor's letter. Now the first part, which was, can we go through this we can't go through this teleporting door. We can't click on it either. Perhaps that pull lever actually does something, allowing you to get through it. But the first mission, the haunting or the ghost of King Lysandus, we find out that King Lysandus, this corridor does move back so we can go on. King Lysandus actually was not killed in the battle between Sentinel and Daggerfall as first presumed, but he was actually assassinated by some nobles of Wayrest. And we found that out because we saw that in a painting that we recovered from the Queen of Wayrest. And the Queen of Wayrest has some, obviously, or was it the Queen of Sentinel? I think it was the Queen of Sentinel who told you to do that. But that sort of implies that there was basically a conspiracy to murder the King of Daggerfall. By the way, that war between Daggerfall and Sentinel, that was over the tiny Isle of Bethany, which was basically just a fishing village, so kind of completely unnecessary war. But he didn't get killed in any battle. He was assassinated in the camp, and at some stage someone tried to actually warn him, and we'll find out a bit about that later. There's actually the orcs that tried to warn him that that attack was coming, and we find that out later. But we more importantly find out that Wayrest and all these Wayrest Sentinel, they all are basically in a cold war, well, kind of an assassination type war. And look at what we've picked up. A daedric claymore, 14 to 30 points of damage. Remove that and we shall be equipping that. We don't need the shield now, that's just going to weigh us down because we've just got this brilliant daedric claymore. It weighs a lot. We've also got some elven greaves that we don't particularly need because we've got our own daedric greaves, but it just means that we've got a lot of decent equipment for ourselves. We don't really need anything more. Let's put on my daedric boots. Let's put on my hood. Talk, and that's giving me a kind of a little funny sound, so that is kind of irritating, so we'll put that away for now. But we can put the cloak, and I think we can put the skirt over our armour so we get everything covered up. Yeah, so where we're going on about this, I'm rabbiting on about this assassination of King Lysander, but he was betrayed, and we've found out also that King Lysander's lover is a sorceress who has got the ability to calm Lysander's soul, and that's what we're going to do. On the other hand, initially we thought that the Emperor's letter was something, you know, perhaps about an affair or something dodgy like that, but it seems to be a lot more significant than that, because it's basically been used, well, been captured by, or recovered by Gortwog, and it seems to be very important. And as we will find out later, that these two things are sort of interlinked. And during this quest, we're getting closer and closer to find. Well, we've already, I think, found out where Lysander's tomb is. We were told that by the agents of the Underking. It's actually marked on our map. It's the county next to Orsinium has actually got the tomb of Lysander, so we can just type in tomb of Lysander and go straight there. This skull, although it's a floating skull, it doesn't teleport you anywhere, which is quite interesting. It's just for decoration. Obviously, why it doesn't work is that the other half of it, where it actually turns up, isn't part of this random dungeon, and that's why you don't actually have it. But yeah, I kind of wanted to show you how I actually got a daedric claymore, so I didn't just cheat that up, but I randomly found it by killing some NPCs, which is neat. Now, I got shot through the wall. I don't mind too much, because I'm quite happy with all the loot that I've picked up. But yeah, we basically found out all about we're steadily finding out that there's a conspiracy for power in Iliac Bay, and that's been behind this assassination of Lysander, and perhaps to do with the letter as well. And we already know where Lysander's tomb is. We just need to get the dust from this place, give it to Medora, and then we'll be able to calm him down, and hopefully he'll be able to tell us a little bit more, and we can progress a little bit further on to the quest. That suit, although it looks cool, it's just a Khajiiti suit, kinda useless, much worse than actually individual pants and shirt, because pants and shirt, of course, you can enchant each one, whereas the Khajiiti suit you can only enchant the whole thing. What's this potion? Potion of water breathing, again kinda useful, I'll take that. And just another book that I could use. Not too particularly bothered about reading the books in this game, but yeah, lots of loot. There's always going to be lots of loot to pick up in this place, but we don't end up picking up anything more useful. What I'll do now, because I end up spending a long time wandering to and fro through this, and when I kind of wander back and forth through this place, I just end up getting completely lost and having to come back and forth, and doing the teleport recall thing. It does get quite irritating. There is a cheat where you can actually go to the quest. Oh, I've got a mithril flail. That'll be. Well, I can't carry any more stuff, but that's a shame. Should we dump something? Let's dump that elven flail, replace it with a mithril flail. Why not? And we can pick up some extra gold on the way. Yeah, so we're all looted out basically. We've got tons of loot. there's nothing else that we really need. I don't think we're going to carry anything much more anyway. Maybe a few more kilos of gold. But yeah, we end up getting very frustrated otherwise. Well, I know I end up getting very frustrated. But there is a cheat. What you can do is you can go to the Z configure file through Windows, and then you can type in cheat mode space 1, and that lets you activate cheat mode. That's quite useful in case you fall into the void, or you get lost, or you get into an impossible dungeon, because what you can do then is you can teleport to the quest location, so i.e. you'll teleport exactly where the lich dust is, or of course you can just spend the time wandering around. It's quite useful as well for debugging places, because occasionally you'll end up in a almost impossible situation, i.e. one of the teleporters doesn't work, so you can actually never get to the place where you want to. It's funny things like that. So the cheat mode is almost essential to have in this game, otherwise it is very irritating. Anyhow, for instance, this skull teleporter we just passed, that is exactly the kind of thing that maybe should have worked but doesn't work. Right, so we've skipped slightly ahead. As you can see, there's a dead mummy, and on them they've got a note, and they also have the note says wall, but it should read a lot more to it. For some reason that's bugged out, so you can't actually read what's on it, but you also get the lich dust as well. Yeah, it still says wall, so not particularly interesting, and another kind of Daggerfall type bug. Anyway, to get here eventually we had to drop down this precipitous drop, and this was an absolute nightmare to get to. You had to go through several of those red brick teleporters. It was incredibly difficult to get back to. I wouldn't recommend going through this kind of thing unless you love to be frustrated, because it's not actually, it would be okay if it was fair, but it's not really actually fair when they ensure that you get completely lost. Anyhow, we will pause here, we'll go back to the start, and what we need to do next is go to Direni Tower. We'll drop off the lich dust and we'll find out what Medora has to say about all that.